Hey guys, Kakarot197 again. This time with a review of the high-grade Universal Century Sazabi from the Shark's Counterattack movie. And this review is brought to you by my favorite online hobby store, HobbyLink Japan. Links to buy your own Sazabi down below. And at first glance, we get a beautiful rendition of the Sazabi. The two shades of red contrast very well with the yellow and black, seam lines are almost non-existent on this kit, and the proportions are accurate. Admittedly, the legs do look like they're quite far apart when you look at it from the front, but that's just how the line art is. So far, so amazing. But when we look a bit closer, Bandai did lack some attention to detail on this kit. There are supposed to be pipes on the shoulders, and the back sides of the funnels are missing some important details. But more about that later. So how about the stickers? Well, we got Char's personal insignia on the front skirt, a Neo Zeon sticker on the shield, and on that same marking sticker sheet, we also got a mono eye. The problem is, it's a pretty dull, non-shiny sticker. So while it might look good when you have the whole room lit up with studio lights, you're gonna have a hard time seeing that eye under normal circumstances. Moving on to the painting required, and it's going to be a lot of yellow paint for this stripe on the shield. These, and these thrusters. More yellow for the insides of all of those cone-shaped thrusters, and also for this thing. But all of this does mean that overall, we get a pretty sweet looking Sazabi straight out of the box. As long as you don't sweat the details. So then, moving on to the accessories and the weapons, starting off with what's already mounted on the machine. On the waist, we get a mega particle beam gun. Then on the backpack, we get 6 funnels, which can also be removed. And even though they're molded together, you can separate them, for example, if you would want to deploy only 1 or 2 of them. Then if you want your funnels to go flying around, we also get 6 active ones. But the problem is, even though they have a hole in the back, we don't actually get any kind of action effect part to display them as active. Nor will it fit into the peg of a standard action base. So to me it comes across that this was supposed to be an extra add-on set that was never released, because otherwise it would have just been nice to have some kind of engine detail on the back rather than just having an empty hole there. And if you want to display them with the active funnels, don't forget to paint the back part black. And talking about things that you can't use, we get 2 beam sabers on each wrist, but you won't be able to remove these even as unusable beam sabers. Instead, we get 2 separate ones that come with really cool jagged beam effect parts, and these are really unique looking, and I absolutely love them. Hooking them up to the Sazabi is also really simple and secure. The right and left holding hand have a peg. These have a hole in them, so you simply click it in there. And even without closing the hands, that beam saber is not going to go anywhere. Then moving on to the extra handheld equipment. First up, we have the beam shot rifle. Not a shotgun, a shot rifle. Essentially 2 halves slapped together with an extra piece for the tip, which means that unfortunately this cartridge is not removable. We do get a very good holding hand, which holds onto it extremely tightly, and also is at somewhat of an angle so that your Sazabi will have no problems holding onto it. And not only does it look awesome in the hand, it also does a really good job of covering up my mistake of accidentally stepping on it after I dropped it without noticing it. We also get an open left hand, which looks really good in action poses. And then the final accessory that we're getting is the Sazabi's giant shield, which has some cool goodies on the inside. We get 3 missiles and the beam Tomahawk. Attaching it to the arm is super simple. We get this brace with 2 positions to put the shield on. You simply slide that brace onto either one of the arms and then attach the shield to it. And now let's have a closer look at that beam Tomahawk. Of course, being a beam Tomahawk, we get some cool beam effect parts. The first one is a single beam effect part if you want to use your beam Tomahawk as more of an actual Tomahawk, so to speak. Now what you could do is get 2 Sazabis and get 2 of those beam effect parts for maximum Tomahawk action, or if you want to go all out, we just get this action piece which completely envelops the Tomahawk and also gives it more of a beam saber aesthetic. And just as with the beam sabers, it has a hole in it, so it fits extremely well into the holding hands. Also, don't forget to paint this part of the handle black. Oh, and for anyone wondering if you can use a normal beam saber with the beam Tomahawk, you can't. The pegs are quite different. And now let's have a look at the articulation of this chunky boy. It might actually surprise you. The head is very nicely articulated on a hinge and ball joint combo, and it goes up really nicely, goes down as well really nicely, will rotate around, and if you remove his forehead, you can also easily move the mono eye. Although poking at it with a toothpick works fine too. Then the shoulders are also nicely articulated. They go forwards and backwards, will go up all the way like that, and then this extra thruster piece thing is also nicely articulated so that it doesn't get into the way of the arm. Will of course also rotate around all the way, then rotates around all the way below the shoulder, bends at the elbow on only a single joint because the Sazabi is from the time that they decided no more double joints for the high grades. And then the hand is on a ball joint, will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. The waist then is also on a ball joint, so he rotates around all the way, in addition to getting a little bit forwards and backwards and side to side movement. Then our backpack is also pretty well articulated. These funnel carrying things will go up and down and go in and out. And then these fuel tanks are on a ball joint, so they also have some nice articulation, in addition to being easily removed if you'd want to display your Sazabi like that. And then this thruster here also goes up and down. And talking about displaying the Sazabi, if we look underneath the skirt armor, we will see 2 thrusters, one of which is removable, revealing a connector for an action base. The front skirts then are molded separately, which we don't often get in a high grade, allowing the legs to go forwards really far. The back skirt is also articulated, which is another thing we don't often see in high grades, so backwards movement is also pretty good, especially considering that giant back skirt he has. The back skirts then go out quite well and allow the legs to go out about that far. Then they will also rotate around on that ball jointed hip. The knees then are double jointed, and even though they only give a 90-degree bend, it does look like more because of the way that the legs are shaped. Then the feet are on the usual hinge and ball joint combo. They go forward a little bit, mostly because of this giant piece that gets in the way, backwards also a little bit, side to side a little bit, but then their rotation is quite significant. So overall, in terms of articulation, the Sazabi definitely goes beyond what you would expect from such a bulky machine. While it's of course not the most articulated model kit ever, it's still pretty damn impressive. One final thing that I have to mention though is that while I was taking pictures, I noticed that the arms do have quite a tendency to get loose, despite them being quite difficult to push on. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And well, overall the Sazabi kind of feels like a kit that Bandai knew would sell anyways. It's the freaking Sazabi, Char's last machine that he ever piloted. So Bandai gave it enough accessories and enough attention to detail for fans of the Sazabi to be satisfied. And if you're a fan, this is definitely worth considering. Then for everyone else, on the other hand, you're getting a bulky and intimidating machine for 2,800 yen, which I will definitely say is a fair price for what we're getting. It would have been cool to get some extra stuff to really make this kit shine, but that also might have upped the price. And it's already within striking distance of the real grades price of 4,500 yen. Another thing to keep in mind for people who are considering a 1/144 scale Sazabi. Then for some size comparisons, here it is next to the 2,000 yen Dryson and the 2,200 yen Doben Wolf. And when looking at these two, I'm sure you can understand why I called the Sazabi's price fair. Especially the Doben Wolf comes with a lot of stuff. Then here it is next to the impressive new Gundam for an epic battle, and next to target practice, the Jagan. And then finally, here it is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the usually bulky Zaku 3. Unfortunately for the poor Zaku 3, it got beaten in every single aspect by the Sazabi. So that's all for this review on this quite bulky machine brought to you by Hobbyling Japan. Again, links down below. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope all of you watching have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.